Hey there, we're going live. All right, let me just get this camera sorted out here. Okay, we are live, Grow Your Expert Business Live. This is a different setting to usual, as you might have noticed. So we're actually, we're out of my office today. We're in the front room here. Just so we have some better lighting, and it's a bit warmer down here because it's pretty cold in Cyprus right now. Hence I've got a jacket on, hence I'm drinking some wine. Okay, that's my excuse for drinking some wine there. So, welcome onto the show. We're gonna get started with everything right now. Just give it a few minutes for any people to jump on the line. So today we're gonna talk all about the simple business model for coaches, experts, trainers, authors, speakers, anybody else at all. Anyone that has any expertise or any how-to knowledge, or even just someone who has any inspiration to share, and you want to, make good money out of that, make a living with it, and help other people. So this is the simple model that works every single time. It's proven across the board, and every one of the top people in our industry, in the coaching expert industry, uses some variation of this model. And it's what I call the 30,000 foot view of the business, first of all. So there's really three core elements you need in place. I'm not talking about big business here. If you want to scale into multiple seven figures, have some big empire, that's going to take a few additional steps. But I'm talking here for anyone that wants to make a very good income, a very above average income from coaching. Because I've done this in my own businesses multiple times, in different coaching businesses. I've done this with fitness brick and mortar businesses, with online fitness businesses, with self-help personal development coaching, done it with business marketing consulting, and I've taught it to clients around the world in all those niches and many other niches. I've done this with real estate agents. I've done this with people in language learning, people with language schools have used this. I've used this with veterinarians. I've used it with lawyers. Dentists have used this system. Private doctors have used this. Hairstylists, beauty therapists, tattoo artists, restaurants, any business that would benefit by having expert authority positioning. That means any business that would like to stand out as being seen as an expert and an authority in their marketplace. This is the foundation of the expert business blueprint. And I'm going to give you the whole structure right now. So the reason I do this show, the reason this episode has come up is because one of the key things when I asked my groups, I asked all the people on Instagram and Facebook, what's the biggest challenge you have with growing your business? The number one thing they always say is overwhelm. They say they don't have a direction. They say they want to be more clear on the direction to go in. They say that they know there's many different opportunities, many different tactics they can do, but they're not sure what to focus on. And that's because what has happened is, in the industry, you have been given a large number of ingredients. Let's say you've been given ingredient after ingredient, where someone says, hey, try this out, or hey, try this out, or hey, try this out. You've been given the ingredients, but if you're feeling overwhelmed and lack of clarity, you haven't yet found a recipe which tells you, take these ingredients, use them like this for this amount of time in this way, and you'll produce a specific result. Okay, that is the difference there. So you really want to take these ingredients and put them into a recipe. Okay, and the people that have the recipe, like myself and my clients, know what to do, and they get consistent results because of that. So I'm going to give you a little recipe here today in the next 20 minutes or so. And the first recipe, the first thing you're going to need in place is what I call a product pyramid. Now, some people call this an ascension suite or a product suite. Basically, it means you want to have at least 2 ways that clients can work with you, okay? This is really important because the biggest bottleneck for most coaches is that all they offer is a one-to-one service. That's all they do. I'm a coach, so I do one-to-one, and that's it. And this is extremely limiting because, first of all, there's only so much money you can make if by offering one-to-one sessions, but also your time is very limited. And that also means that to make good money with a one-to-one model, you're going to have to charge higher fees. Okay, and hey, you should get what you're worth, right? You should charge good money. That's fine. The problem then comes is to charge high fees is a skill. It's a marketing skill, a sales skill, a confidence skill. So you won't get the high fees that you require to do one-to-one coaching just because you're good at something. Because people on the outside don't necessarily know you're any good at it. So it's a different thing of saying I'm worth this much and then actually getting that much. It's a whole different story. So marketing, sales, expert authority positioning is going to come into it. And maybe, and in fact most of the time, the coaches I meet, they could charge higher amounts, they're worthy of higher amounts, but they just don't have the confidence to ask for it. And if they don't have the confidence to ask for it, they're not going to get it. Or maybe they need to get so many leads, they need to get a high number of leads to be able to get one of those leads to say yes to that price point. And then their challenge becomes they haven't got an advertising budget big enough to get that number of leads. Or maybe they haven't got the time to organically promote and market to get those leads. So it's all well and good saying I'm going to charge what I'm worth, but the fact is it takes more than just being good at something to actually get that amount. You can charge that amount, but that doesn't mean you're actually going to get the money. So the first thing is to look at your actual product suite and have more than one way of someone to work with you. I would say start with 2, ideally. Something a low barrier program, something of a low price, and then something of a higher price. Okay, so here we've got Shane on the line. Good to see you here, Shane. Shane's someone who knows this extremely well and helps other fit pros with it. So you know, one of the models that we know works extremely well is to have a front-end component to the business and a back-end component to the business. And this is where you can lay up your different products. So you might start with an entry-level program, something that people can come in on a lower time scale, less time commitment, less money commitment. They can come in and start something, and then once they've been through that initial program, maybe it's 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, then they can move on to your back-end structure, and the back-end is the real cash generator. You see, a lot of coaches, the next mistake they make is they have a front-end only business. Okay, they have a great 4-week program or a great 6-week program or an 8-week program or a 12-week program, but that's all they offer. So they do all the work in marketing, they build all those relationships, they bring the leads in, they close the lead, and then they work with that client for 6 weeks, and then they leave that client, say goodbye, and the client is gone. And then they have to repeat the cycle of looking for a whole new bunch of people again. And this is what we call a front-end business, where customers are coming in, you're doing all that work on the front, closing the sale, working with them for 6 weeks, and then letting them drop off like lemmings off a cliff. And you probably spend as much time, you probably spend 6 weeks building the relationship to get that sale, and then you spend the same amount of time serving them, and then they're gone. And this is a very unprofitable, a very high stress, tough to make work, low profit margin business, because marketing is very expensive, and you're always paying time or money to get more and more leads back through your funnel. So what you want to do is only have your prospects come through the funnel once. You know, start off with a front-end program, which should be, in most cases, no longer than just a few weeks. Okay, and then have them at the end of that convert, give them the chance to come up into a back-end, longer-term program. Now, here's the difference with the two. The front-end program is designed to give them a taste or an experience or a micro result of working with you. It's not designed The front-end program is not designed to teach them everything you know. It's not designed to try and radically transform their life. It's not designed to give them every single thing you can offer and stuff them and overwhelm them with information. Because if you do that, they'll get just as overwhelmed as you probably are. The front-end program is to give people the test drive of what you can do. Give them a fraction of it. The back-end program is the long-term program. It's the lifetime program. It's where you can create real change for them. It's where you can really get to know your customer. It's where you can offer them upsell services and other factors without a marketing cost associated with it. It's where you can really give your best stuff. Not because we're hiding the ball or anything in the front-end program, but simply because, let's say if you have a 4-week intro program, it doesn't matter what you do. If you help people lose weight or help them grow a business or help them with their relationships or whatever it might be, you're not going to change their life and do that in 4 weeks. And if you do, then maybe you should actually charge more. But you'd probably be quite famous then. But you're not going to give them substantial, long-lasting results. And even if you do help them get a good result in that first 4 weeks, what are they going to do after that 4 weeks? They're then going to need maintenance, support, encouragement, and there's probably going to be new results they want to achieve. So if I help, something coaches ask me sometimes is, well, if I help them get all the results, in 6 months, why would they carry on working with me? Well, if your goal is you promise to help coaches make $20,000 a month in revenue, and you do that in 6 months, they're not going to stop working with you in the 7th month. They're going to say, hey, this is great. Can you now help me make $40,000 a month? Right? So there's going to be a progression, and you can't teach all that at the front. So the front end model is just going to help them get a taste for what you do, or a micro result. But they are going to find out that really the real benefit is in the long term, in building lifelong sustainable habits. It's about sustainability. It's about community sometimes. It's just about knowing that there's other people on the journey with them that they can work with. So the front-end program and the back-end program, they are different in terms of results. That's the first thing. Most coaches are trying to put the back-end result in a front-end program. And they're saying, hey, in 4 weeks, I'll transform everything in your life and you'll never need another program ever again. And so people buy into the hype, they do your program, and then at the end of 4 weeks, you've told them they don't need anything else. So they don't buy from you and they walk off and say, thanks, this was great, bye. And that's the big problem. You're letting people that you've worked hard and you've paid for to get to that point, and now you're letting them just drop off the radar. So understand the difference between the front and the back end of your business. Okay, the front end is a test drive. The back end is where real, long-lasting, sustainable results and long-term relationships are built. And the back end is actually where most of your profits will come from. Because to generate substantial clientele on the front end is going to require some marketing. It's going to require building a sales funnel, running some paid advertising. And so the next mistake coaches make is even if they do have these front and back end components in place, like they have a trial up front and then they have a long-term program or a monthly membership, the next mistake coaches make a lot is that they try to make all their money on the front end program. And that severely restricts their ability to promote themselves. Here's what I mean by that. They have a front-end program. Let's say it's a $500 front-end program. They then have a $1,000 a month back-end program. Okay? 500 for the front end for 1 month, and then 1,000 a month ongoing for the back end for a mastermind or some kind of high-level coaching program. So the problem is when they're so concerned about making profit on that $500, they are then afraid to spend anything on marketing. And the way I've always positioned my businesses to do well with paid advertising in all multiple niches is because for me, the front end, the revenue from the front end program is designed for one thing, and that is to liquidate my marketing costs. So if I charged $500 for a front-end program, I would be happy to spend $500 in advertising just to get that one sale and make no money on the front end. Why would I do that? Well, because if I get 10 people to do that program for $500, we make $5,000, but I spend $5,000 in marketing. Well, if that program is really good, then on week 3 and week 4, I give them the opportunity to ascend into my $1,000 a month back-end program. I'm going to get 1 or 2 or more out of 10 who will say yes to that. So if I can just liquidate my costs on the front and not lose anything, it's great to make a profit too, and in most cases you will, but the intention is only to break even. That takes the stress away. It also allows me a much bigger marketing budget. So other people, they would spend $100 in advertising, $200, and they don't get a sale, and they freak out and they drop the ads budget, or they slash the campaign altogether, or they change their price, and they mess with everything when they haven't really tested it. I'm happy to let that ads bill run up, outspend my competitors. I can spend far more per click, far more per lead. I can spend far more to acquire the sale because I'm not trying to make the money and get rich on the front. I'm just trying to buy the start of a relationship with that customer. I'll pay $500 to get that person to the door and then give them a great experience because I know 20 or 30 or 40% are going to then start paying $1,000 a month. And that's the difference. If you can wait that 3 to 4 week turnaround time, or even less, if your front-end program is a 1 week trial, for example, whatever it might be, those who win in this game of business can see the long-term play. They are able to delay gratification. They are able to say, I'm going to invest this now, and I will make my ROI in week 3, in week 4, in week 6 sometimes. They can afford that 2 to sometimes 6 week turnaround time, which means that from when you paid to get that lead to be a front-end customer to the time that you get the back-end revenue starts to come in. And that is a critical number in business that's not talked about enough. It's that turnaround time, because all we want is all the customers, we want them all now, but they're not willing to spend anything on advertising. And that's why so many coaches are burnt out and frustrated and overwhelmed with advertising, is because they want all the customers, but don't want to spend the money. They don't want to invest, but they want the return. And it doesn't work like that. So that's the first difference to note. Now, how long, a good question I get is, how long should the front-end program be? Okay, how long should it be? And how long should the back-end program be? Well, I mean, the back-end program, ideally, you know, for most coaches in most industries, it's going to be anywhere from 6 to 12 months to simply having an ongoing, never-ending membership, because people will always want to keep getting results. So the back-end shouldn't really have an end date. You've got a customer that wants to work with you, keep working with them. But the front end is a little more volatile. So the front end thing, and you get programs from, you know, some people give a free half-an-hour consult. Some people offer a one-on-one day, like discovery day. We have discovery calls, discovery days. We have 7-day trials. We have 14-day paid programs, 14-day programs with a deposit, 14-day free trials. 4-week programs, 6-week programs, 8-week programs, right? You see, it's all the same principle. There's just a shortened time on the front. So how long should yours be? Okay, it's very simple. Your front-end offer only needs to include as much or the minimal effective dose to allow someone to make an educated decision of whether the back-end program is right for them or not. So again, the front-end program only needs to include the minimal amount that will help the person determine if staying with you long-term is the right option. So how does that work out? Well, if you have like a gym business, let's say you own a gym, or something where people come in 3 times a week. You have a fitness program, you have a culture, or it's a yoga or Pilates studio or something like that. And you know that your long-term back-end program, your membership, really relies on people coming in 3 to 4 times a week, meeting everyone, having a great team culture and things like that. That's what you're trying to sell, is the team culture, the habits, the belonging. So maybe giving a 1-session trial is not enough, because maybe they experience you have a great session, but they didn't actually get to see or experience the real culture of what your business is all about. So it's very hard to say, hey, you liked that session, good. Here's why our membership is so great, because we have culture, we have friends, we have social days. Because they're thinking, well, I didn't see any of that stuff. I just had a workout. So if you're trying to sell, if your trial is just one workout, and this is why I think the whole concept of like a transformation session is the stupidest lead magnet ever. Because if you're trying to sell the fact that have a test drive of our workout, and that's the only good thing about you, then you're not going to sell many memberships. So if you pride yourself that your long-term membership is based on culture and coming in multiple times a week, then you've got to give the prospect enough time to build that into their routine. So we would always offer nothing short of, nothing less than 14 to maybe 21-day trials, which could be free, they could be paid, they could have a deposit on them. And how much you charge I'll come to that in a second. But the length of time only needs to be enough for them to get the feeling of the experience. Let's use the car industry that do this very well. If you go to buy a Ford Focus, they'll give you a 30-minute test drive. Okay, it's a low commitment car, it's not an expensive car, it's a pretty average run-of-the-mill car. In 30 minutes, you get a feel for if you like the car or not. Then they'll come back, that's their front-end offer. Then they'll ask you for the long-term commitment, the 3,900 payments for the car. If, however, you go to test drive something like a Rolls Royce, a Mercedes, or some kind of luxury car, they don't just give you half an hour. They'll give you a lot longer in some cases. Well, the smart dealerships will. At one point, even Audi were giving 24-hour test drives, where they say, hey, this is an Audi, it's an expensive luxury car. We want you to get a real feel for what it's like to own this car. Not just to drive and see how practical it is, but they know why people buy expensive Audis. They say, we want you to drive around the town, drive around the city, see the looks that you get. Take it home, park it on your driveway, look at how good it looks on your driveway. Wake up in the morning and experience starting your day by getting into this car. And bring it back to us in 24 hours tomorrow. And then tell us if you like it or not. So they were giving a 24-hour test drive because they know that is the level. There's more commitment. The prospect needs to be given more commitment before they make a bigger commitment back. So that's the difference, okay? If you're trying to sell something bigger and it needs a proper experience, you want to build that into your front-end offer, okay? So if you've got some kind of gym membership, for example, you want to give at least a week or two to give people the feel of meeting everyone, coming in regularly, building habits. And if you help them build habits in your trial program, in your front-end program, it's going to be very hard for those people to break those habits and stop coming to you. So let's say you do something like online coaching, right? Maybe you have a very expensive, very elite, very personal one-to-one coaching service. And again, so maybe one phone call isn't going to do the job. All my high-end clients that pay me, thousands every month, I didn't get from just a half-an-hour discovery call. No, those clients, I either had multiple phone calls with them, or I would sit down with them for maybe 2, 3, 4 hours, or do a half day with them, where I actually map out their business plan for the next 12 months. I do a whole breakdown of their finances. I look for every hole in their company, and I create an entire org chart, vision, and plan with them. And that's what I do in a half day with those people. It's pretty mind-numbing, but I need to make sure that I know if I'm going to work with this client over 12 months, what is our plan going to be? Is it, do we actually think it's possible and realistic? And then they can see clarity of, okay, well, this is what we're investing in, doing all these things, right? And so my front end offer has to be a lot more expansive to cater for that. So that's the difference there. Now, how much should you charge? Sorry. Well, That's going to be variable down to your business. And there's two factors here. There's how qualified you want the lead to be. So the person that buys into your front-end offer, they're either going to invest money or time. Okay, so there's an investment, nothing's free really. So, you're asking them for days or weeks of their time, no matter what. So you want to think about, one thing is how qualified do you want that prospect to be? And that's based on other factors too. So if you can decide, I want to work with fewer people on the front end, but who are more qualified. And what this means is, if they're more qualified because they've paid some money or more money to be there, there's a higher chance that they will convert onto the back-end program, which means you have less work to do, you've made some money up front, and the chances of them upselling, which is what you really want, are going to be a lot higher. The other side to that is you could choose to have more people do it, but they're going to be of lower quality, and therefore you would charge less or not charge. So if I'm going to run, let's say I'm going to give 2 weeks of coaching away as a front-end offer, a 14-day program or a 14-day challenge or anything like that, or a 14-day trial. So I could give it free. And if I offered you right now, if I said, hey, I'm going to give anyone who wants it 14 days of free one-on-one coaching with me, I'm going to get my inbox flooded. But a lot of those people are going to be less qualified because they're not investing anything. So I could take on 100 people for that. 50% of them wouldn't show up for the second day. Okay, the ones that 90% wouldn't even make it to the end of 14 days because they have nothing to lose. They're not invested, no skin in the game. They'll wander off and do something else and make excuses. And of the ones that do make it to the end, they probably wouldn't achieve that much or get that many results because they have no reason to do it. They haven't bought in. However, if I then said, hey, I'm doing a 14 days of one-on-one coaching, and you can get a feel of what it's like to work with me, and it's going to be $1,000 or $500 or whatever it might be, then maybe instead of 100 people, I might get 5. But those 5 people I know are going to get better results. They're going to be more qualified. They're going to stick with it, and there's going to be more chance they're going to want to carry on after that time. Because A, they've bought in already. They've shown they're happy to invest in themselves. And secondly, because they've invested in themselves, they're going to take more action during the 2 weeks. They're going to see better results. They're going to make way more money back than that. And then they're going to want to buy in again, the long term, because I've demonstrated what can happen for them. So you see, it's actually a perpetual cycle. Those who invest get better results and then invest more. Those who don't invest don't get results and then are afraid of investing again. And the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's the way it is. So that's what the first thing to decide is, how qualified do you want the lead? Okay. Now that's going to depend on how big is the upsell, how much sales ability do you have, what kind of numbers you're looking to work with, and so on. Are there any minimum numbers you need, and all that kind of thing. So if you have any questions on that, just comment below whenever you see this video, if you see it live or later on, and you want to tell me about your specific front-end offer and you're still confused about pricing, just drop me a comment below. Tell me what it is. Tell me what your pricing concerns are. Or if you want to know how much to include, and I'll help you out with that. When I get a chance, I'll drop a comment to you or a private message. Now, that's the first factor in the pricing is how qualified do you want the prospect? The second aspect to think about is your profit margins. What are going to be your costs to deliver that 14-day experience? Okay, do you have any built-in cost of doing business that you need to make back a minimal amount? Right, let's say you run a local self-development seminar business, and maybe you offer a weekly workshop or a monthly workshop or a weekly workshop where you have to actually you go and you rent out a venue. You pay $100 a week for a hotel room. So if you're going to offer it free for 2 weeks in a row, you've got to pay out $200, let's say, for that hotel room, and people are going to come in, you might just need to cover your costs a little bit. So maybe if you can put, you pay $100 for the room, and let's say you can put 10 people in the room, you might just want to charge people $10 for that trial, to say, or $20, just to say, hey, I'm just going to charge $20. You get 2 weeks of sessions at the hotel conference room in our self-development meeting or whatever it might be. I charge $20 because that simply covers the cost of what I pay for rent there. I make no profit on that. It's just to cover the cost of serving you, right? You might do that plus a small profit on top to cover your marketing spend, right? You see, there's no rules, guys. There's no like, it has to be this way or that way. It's impossible to say that because your business is different to the next person's. Your advertising budget is different. Your profit margin is different. There's so many different things to calculate that it's impossible for me or anyone to tell you, charge this much, do it for this long. And anyone that tries to tell you that is a total fraud, to be honest. They don't understand business, they don't understand individuation, and they're very unprofessional and even harmful coach. So you've got to know your margins, your costs, and so on. If you run something online, if your front-end offer is like a 5-day online challenge, then you have virtually no costs associated with that, only the marketing spend, right? And maybe you're willing to swallow that advertising spend to get the people in and then make the conversions. So the truth is to know the price to charge. If it's an offline brick and mortar business or a business with higher costs, you've got to intricately look at the numbers and see what's viable to charge if you do have to charge something. Don't just give it away free or too low priced, because you might then end up just bankrupting yourself if you're not converting enough people over on the front end. Some people, in fact many businesses, will offer the front end offer as what's called a loss leader. A loss leader. And that means this is an offer they lead with that actually makes them a loss on purpose, because they make so much money on the back end, or they know that their turnaround time, which we talked about earlier, is so short they can afford to go down in profits a little bit to recoup the money in just a bit later. So I know one guy who's very, very big in the fitness info product industry. He's made millions of dollars selling one of the most popular fitness training ebooks online. Right, and he sells a fitness ebook. It's like $40. And on the back end of that, though, he has a membership site, which is like $25 a month. Now, again, he knows everyone in the marketplace only see the ebook being advertised, so they think his business is the ebook. And then every coach wants to go and sell their own ebook. But that's not where this guy I'm talking about is making money. He actually sells the ebook at a loss, which means it's a $40 ebook, but he actually pays around $65 in marketing to make one sale of the ebook. So he actually loses $25 every time someone buys an ebook, because he spends an average of $65 on promotion. So, if he got 10 sales, he would spend around $650 in advertising. It would make about $400 in ebook sales. However, after on the next page of the book, and even with follow-up emails and communications, he then offers those people who bought the book a chance to join his $25 a month membership site. And he knows that within the first 2 weeks of buying a book, 25% of those people, or about 30% actually of those people, join the membership site. So if 10 people buy the book, he spends $650 in marketing, he makes $400 up front, he's down $250. However, 30% or 3 of those buyers will join his $25 a month membership. Okay, so now he's actually he's down $250 at the front, but he's now got an extra $75 a month in recurring revenue month after month after month. So that for him, because he's got a big ad spend, he's got a big ads budget, he can afford to go down the whole $250 to make 10 sales. He probably does that in a day. And he knows then that the back-end capital is coming in and he can sustain that model. The problem comes when a newbie coach sees that and thinks they can do it, not understanding the real dynamics of the funnel, not understanding the front-end costs associated, and not understanding the need to have a certain amount of capital in reserve, backed up cash before doing that. Because again, if you want to launch something like that and you're going to be $250 in the hole, and you're going to need a big lot of advertising money to recoup that loss and make your first 100 or 200 sales before you start making money and making profit. So if you haven't got that kind of ad spend and you're trying to get one sale at a time, you're just going to bury yourself into bankruptcy. And this is what coaches are doing a lot of the time. It's a gross neglect of the finances and the long-term back-end business structure. So again, if this is something that you want help with, if you want more information on this, and you'd like me to have a quick look into your business funnel, drop a comment below or message the page. Give this page a like and a share anyway, and I'll be happy to help you out as best I can. But that's really it, guys. That's what I want to talk today, is the simple model to sell your coaching packages, the front end versus the back end offer. So the front end offer we've talked about mostly today. We'll talk about the back end offer another time, but for most of you watching this, your back end offer is probably established. It's your regular service. It's your month-to-month thing. It's your monthly coaching. It's what you're already really good at. What most coaches need is a really solid front-end offer. Something that, isn't as hard to sell as a monthly membership, but it's something that gives people a low time commitment and a low financial commitment way to test drive what you do. Take the tips I've given you here so far, which are, again, don't make the front-end offer. Only needs to be, as long as it needs to be, to give someone an experience of what it's like to work with you. All you need is the minimum effective dose. So if people can be convinced of your long-term program in 2 weeks, don't give them a 12-week front-end program. They don't need it, right? They don't need 12 weeks to make a decision, right? And, but if you do have a higher priced program, a very large commitment back-end program, then you do need more time on the front. Same thing with pricing. There's two factors to pricing your front-end offer. Number one is how qualified do you want the leads to be? Do you want more leads that are less qualified? Or do you want fewer leads that are more qualified and more likely to buy? You've got to think about your turnaround time from the time a lead joins the front-end offer to how long is it until they make the decision to upsell to the back-end offer. And you've got to factor all these things into your marketing plan and your marketing funnel. The number one mistake in coaches that aren't making money, even though they're busting their ass and they're trying so much and they're overwhelmed and confused, it's because of these type of issues. A lot of these issues are largely logistical. Okay, you've got to know the numbers. You've got to know the front and back end funnel. You've got to know the objective of every single thing in the business and why it's there. So you've got to answer the question, why more than how. If someone says to me, hey, I need help, Justin, because I have this 12-week program. First thing I say is, okay, why? What is the purpose of that 12-week program? Why is it there? Why is it 12 weeks? Why is it $900? Right? Why are you taking 20 people on it? Right? And if you can't give me answers for all those things, then you are just making up ingredients without a recipe. And you are just probably copying someone else who had a similar model. But like the ebook example, it might look good from the front. It might look like, oh, they sell an ebook for $40. If I sell 10 of those, I'll make $400 a month. However, those people are actually losing $250 a month if they make 10 sales, and they're recouping the money elsewhere on the back end of the funnel, which is hidden from you, and you can't see it and you can't hack it unless you buy into that. So that's a quick recap there. Again, any questions, drop them below. This was episode 7 of Grow Your Expert Business Live, back next week. If you have a topic you'd like me to talk about, if you have any questions you want me to answer live on the show, then you can drop those in the comments below. Like this page, Give me a message if you want to, and if you want to find out more about the Expert Business Blueprint mentoring program and how it can help you, then get in touch with us on the page and we'll be happy to help you out as soon as possible. All right, have a good day or a good evening. This is Justin Devonshire and I will speak to you soon.